What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today it's all about this shop in Costa Rica. And I think I have to start off with the best. This is hardly a Toyota. Toyota Hilux is what it started out as. And the owner of the shop, his last name Canales, and the shop's name is basically Shop Canales. Taller means shop in Spanish. He built this monster, and he's sponsored by Maxxis, which is awesome. So he's a fellow Maxxis driver here in Costa Rica. This thing has everything, has coilovers, has tons, has full hydro. And he, guys, remember, he is basically the nationally acclaimed #1 race car driver here in off-road in Costa Rica. He's warming it up. He's gonna take us for a ride, but this thing is just incredible. Look at the sway bar to unlock it or lock it. We have limiting straps. I mean, it's double triangulated in the rear. It has trailing arms, trophy truck style, triple bypasses, coilovers, the radiators in the back, which is extremely normal here. I've mentioned that a couple times. Because they only do extreme mudding and just swamp, they don't want it clogged up. So that's why you're gonna see it here. This is fiberglass, so incredibly light. We have extra gas. We have a winch in the back. This thing is just gnarly. Take a quick look inside. It's obviously a manual, which is incredibly common here in Costa Rica and just mostly in the Caribbean and Latin America. No carpet for easy cleanup. He did move the entire engine and transmission back to shift the weight. Custom dash. I mean, this thing's a beast. Look at that. We have custom bumper, tube bumper that goes into the fender, that bolts into the slider, that bolts into the cage, that bolts into the chassis. That's part of the chassis, yeah, the frame. That's wild. I was able to snag the owner of this amazing shop. So first name Gustavo, last name Canales, and the shop is basically Taller Canales Shop, right? Off-road. Guys, this is the national competition winner of the ultimate, their version of Ultra 4 as far as racing goes, off-road only. This is the guy, sponsored by Toyota, sponsored by Maxxis. He's been to King of the Hammer, so watch us do what us Americans and just wild off-road lovers do. So I'm gonna flip the camera around. We're gonna get his one English word that he knows, and let's see what you guys think. All right, the man, the myth, the legend, Gustavo Canales.
Hi.
So I'm taking a ride in this Toyota Beast, and I have the utmost faith in the driver in keeping us in one place. Guys, we're not going off-roading or anything. He just wanna kind of show us how it feels on the road. It is only a 2-seater, obviously, so I get to go first, and then Marlon's gonna take a ride and film for the Spanish channel. Guys, the way they drive here is, honestly, that's why they're so good at racing, because oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my, I didn't sign up for this! He's just laughing. I did not expect that at all. Holy heck. You scared me, me asustaste.
Solo 6 cilindros chiquititos.
He said just very, very small 6-cylinder. Yeah, right. This thing's a beast.
450 horsepower.
450 horsepower.
A las 42.
To the wheel, to the tires. So that's not to the crank. That's 450 directly dynoed to the tires. That's nuts. Well, I survived, barely. This guy, he didn't tell me. He was just like, I just want you to feel the suspension on the road. And then you guys saw, he gunned it. And then I was like, very scared for my life, but it's all right. We're in good company. No one died. And this thing is amazing. All right, it's Marlon's turn. And the name, I think it could not be any more perfect, The Beast, because that's what this thing is, a beast. This is just like 10% of the trophies that he's won. He's definitely the #1 racer here in Costa Rica in probably anything that has a motor. He's been doing it since 1997, so he is fantastic. This is his workbench area. Guys, just keep in mind, this is a totally different country. I know shops look different in the United States, but honestly, some look very similar to this. So not throwing shade or anything, this works for him for the amount of vehicles that he has in the shop. He does very different things in the shop. So here in Costa Rica, anything really as far as highly customized vehicles, it doesn't pay. And I feel like a lot of you could agree that in the United States, it's basically the same. So everything here is fabrication, nothing's bolt-on, right? Because bringing anything from the United States is incredibly expensive because of the taxes that they have to pay on it. So taxed here, anything over $200, let's say, is going to be taxed anywhere from 45% all the way up to 85%. So you could imagine with the median average household income being not even $1,000 a month USD per household, that a lot of these projects are really not for everyone. That being said, Costa Rican ingenuity, engineering, they make stuff work, they make stuff last, and so it works. This side of the shop that I'm in right now is basically what we'll call his bread and butter. So he is a full service shop. You can see a bunch of different vehicles that aren't all necessarily 4x4, rebuilding transmissions, rebuilding engines, anything from changing out lights to electrical to sound audio. You can see here, this is having engine work done. You know, replacing cams, tires, axles. Something breaks, you bring it here, he'll get it fixed. But exciting enough, I have walked around and a lot of the Wrangler builds do have parts that are very recognizable and you guys are going to recognize them. So I've seen stuff from Anti-Rock, so that's Rock Jock. I've seen Ballistic Fab. Artec is a big one here. So let's take a look, a walk around of the different Wrangler builds and Toyota builds and see, do you guys recognize any parts that are from back home? I think that it is appropriate to start with an XJ. If you guys haven't already seen the video that we posted last Sunday of the Off-Road Expo here in Costa Rica, I highly recommend you do. There's so many different cars, 4x4 and not 4x4, that were at the expo that may surprise you. But let's talk about this. XJs are always gonna be near and dear to me. I can't wait until we start building ours. And honestly, I might not even wanna keep it green. I'm loving this orange color. Not sure if it's stock or not, but there's definitely some, can you see that? Some like flaking in there. So this project here has been here for over a year. And you're gonna be like, Luna, that is an incredibly long time. And it is, but what I've seen in shops in other countries, as far as Latin America, the Caribbean, is that custom fab projects, depending on the shop, they do 3 a year. This is not something where they're pumping one out every week. Financially, it's not feasible for a lot of, I would say, citizens here, at least in Costa Rica. So about 3 a year is what he can spend as far as manpower and as far as people that are wanting to do this next level type of build. So this XJ here was taken to another shop. The guy purchased everything necessary for everything that he wanted. It was at that shop for a total of 4 years and it just wasn't getting anything done. So the guy went, repoed his own vehicle from that shop and then brought it here. And so now he's on the waiting list for his Jeep to be started next year, 2026. Engine bay, so fortunately the other shop did this cut in here, which now they're gonna have to patch up at this shop. But pretty standard. This is like a little makeshift stand, I would say, because they don't want to use up a lift. So they went ahead and just tack welded that so it holds the vehicle up. A little jack stand back there. But yeah, you recognize this brand? We got good old Barnes 4-wheel drive up in here. They have tons of products for XJs, Comanches, and I believe they're in North Carolina. Super good folks. So this one's kind of fun. So I just walked around before I started filming and just kind of familiarized myself with the parts. And there's a lot of these that you guys are gonna recognize. What do you think so far, babe?
It's incredible to see so many cars that we're used to seeing over there.
Absolutely. So this is a YJ. So obviously the Telltale Blue, you're gonna have your King coilovers, but this vehicle is primarily, so the owner, he had a vision, he's seen a lot of our vehicles, he's seen what we build, and he is a big Motobilt fan. So of course, amazing, amazing taste, but almost everything is Motobilt, guys. So we have Motobilt, and obviously these seats, we got Corbeau suspension seats. I'm happy to see that the country is moving forward with suspension seats. Primarily they were using just hardback racing seats, which are just gnarly. We have another rock jock, anti-rock. We got bump stops, look at that. All of this is Motobilt. We have Motobilt back here, spare tire carrier. We have just the guard here, the bumper, the fuel cell, and the skid plate for the fuel cell. We have ballistic fab diff cover. How cool. And this blew my mind, and you guys let me know your thoughts, but full-blown custom cages. So to ship a cage here from the United States, it's really just cost prohibitive. So a lot of these cages are custom built here in the shop, and it is like, you know, the appropriate DOM. This one I think is 1.75, 1 3/4 inch tubing. But that being said, tubing being bent, installed, fully welded, and paint is 3,000 USD. That's wild. Most cages cost that just in tubing, not including the shipping of the freight to get it to you, 3,000 USD. But that 3,000 USD here in Costa Rica is like, I would say our, I don't know, $6,000, $7,000. So same, but different. And I mentioned this in the last video, the Off-Road Expo 1, is that most vehicles here are manual. I have been told that that is changing. And if you guys don't know, rock crawling a manual Jeep is not for the faint of heart. It's not really common for us to see a manual Jeep rock crawling, at least in my experience with most of the people that I wheel with, our colleagues, no one really has a manual anymore. And that might be just because JKs and JLs don't, I mean, obviously they do come in manual, but most people don't want to choose a manual. But yeah, anyways, almost everything is manual here, and that is slowly changing, but you have to understand that the replacement parts as well as the people that work on it, they're better with a manual because that's what they know how to work on. So this is the next project, and so this TJ is actually going to be a replica of the one outside that I'll film right after so you guys can see. So we have 2.5 inch coilovers. I lied, not a TJ, it's an LJ. That being said, TJ, LJ, same thing. I know you LJ people are gonna come for me in the comments, but it's literally the same thing. It's just a little longer. Anyways, we have 2.5 inch coilovers. We have another very shiny Rock Jock anti-rock. So that's really big. And honestly, that specific sway bar style, the Rock Jock, I'll say, is very much a favorite of the owner of this shop. We're gonna be viewing other shops today, and not every owner chooses the same products, but in his experience, he really likes outfitting almost all of the Jeeps and Wranglers that he builds here with this style sway bar. We have a high steer, ballistic fab. I don't think they're in business anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong. Super cool thing to note. So yes, everything's rusted. Obviously, when they are gonna put all this together, it's gonna get sandblasted and painted. This is just, you know, how it is right now. But this truss is custom. They've made it here. A lot of all these links are, you know, fabricated here as well, guys. They do try to save on shipping as much as they can. So something that I've been seeing here a lot that I don't see in the United States is almost all the full hydro that we have in the States is PSC, but this is a different brand that they use out here, which here it is. They don't have a good rap in the United States. I've heard a couple different stories, but yeah, there you have it. We have another ballistic fab diff cover. Really cool. We have King bump stops. So this is definitely gonna be a nice little project here. And it even comes with very nice PRP seats. Guys, take a look at this. We have Armor Light all the way in Costa Rica. This is amazing. So we have the belly, ignore all this, but this is basically the parts for this Jeep, right? So we have more R-Tech goodies. We have the cross member. Don't know whose cross member that is. I don't want to get under there and get too dirty. But a thing to note, guys, is that they do build the exhausts to come outside of the chassis. And obviously, please keep in mind that this vehicle is going to see 0 rocks. This is strictly mud and just swamp. And so these vehicles are built for very little articulation, and just surviving the mud and the water is going to be the primary focus here. And yes, this project, if you've seen the last video, it was at the expo, but I'm not going to go into it because he didn't build it. It's only here to get fixed because unfortunately it was strapped to a trailer incorrectly and was pulled from these body mounted sliders, and it's completely skewed the body of the vehicle. So this is the LJ that LJ inside is being built after as a replica. It's the same owner. He wants an A car and a B car. So you kind of saw most of the parts on this one were imported from the United States. And so the B car is going to be more of fabricated here. But other than that, it's going to be the same concept, same kind size coilovers. We have reed knuckles, R-Tech high steer. You have R-Tech full hydro skid plate, ballistic fab diff covers, King bump stops. So pretty well equipped. I would say if this vehicle went to the United States, very little would have to change. You know, probably this for the rocks, that's definitely going to be knocked out. But other than that, just very little things, and obviously remove and lengthen the limit straps. We might have to change how long the drive shaft is just to give it more flex. But other than that, I mean, suspension seats, love to see it. Again, another manual. This one has an Atlas. You don't see too many Atlases here. You don't see too many Atlases here, not because they can't get them, because obviously they can't import them. It would just be, you know, a lot more expensive. But they don't really need, like when they're in low, they're in low. When they're in high, they're in high. They don't need to do front digs. They don't need to do, you know, just have rear only. So what they need to do, they're in the swamp. I'll try to insert a clip here just to kind of give you an idea of the type of off-roading. And I think tomorrow at night, we're gonna go off-roading, which you guys know I hate night wheeling, but I'm not gonna be driving, we're gonna be filming. So hopefully we survive that, but they're just gonna be in the mud, in more or less of a straight line, and make a turn and then just hope for the best kind of style. So I'm gonna convince them to put in Armor Light. Not that the best stop mats aren't good, but the Armor Light's just gonna provide more coverage all the way back. This is what the rear looks like. So it is still a stock chassis, I would say. The towers were Frenched in. Remember, a big difference is that most of us back at home, when we're triangulating the rear and adding in coilovers, this is gonna be outboarded. It's gonna be inside, but they don't want any of that nasty mud inside. So they try to keep everything as closed up as possible. MagnaFlow, which is awesome to see. You guys know that we work with MagnaFlow. You have it on the outside, but again, this isn't getting banked up on the rocks. This is the belly. They don't really need skid plates. A skid plate, all it's gonna do is gonna trap the mud, and it's just gonna add so much more weight and potentially heat up the vehicle. And what's quickly becoming one of my old-time favorite classic cars is another Land Cruiser. This one's a really pretty yellow. Their seats are cool. It's just such a cool old style vehicle. And while you're waiting for your vehicle to get serviced, check out the seat. So something really cool that I spoke to the owner about was it is important for him for this entire shop to be full service. And what he means by full service is that no matter the condition that the vehicle was brought in, if it was towed here, driven here, so on and so forth, when he gives it back, he's gonna fully detail the vehicle for his clients. Outside, inside, chassis, underneath, completely pressure washed, tire shined if it calls for it. And I think that that's really nice, right? So you come here, you spend a lot of money, really, because everything's expensive in Costa Rica, more or less, comparative to the mean average cost, or mean average income, I should say. So he's gonna give you a car that it's looking its best. We survived. We survived the Toyota ride and we survived the tour of the shop. Guys, if you're looking for another amazing off-road YouTube channel, please check out our friend Diego. His channel is 4x4 del Tropico. I'll link it here and also in the description. You don't necessarily have to know Spanish because the content is universal. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. A big thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Share it with your friends and family, and we'll see you next time. Bye.